Yeah, I welcome Sumitesh ji and also Sumitesh ji, if he's there yet. Sumitesh ji is the founder of this GNSKD Foundation, which is the powerhouse behind this Aidothon program, where we collaborated with this foundation. And from last year, we have started working on to this autoimmune immune diseases like IBD and rheumatoid arthritis. So the idea is if we can bring doctors and engineers on the same platform, we are expecting to some magic to happen. So with this actually, so we are very hopeful that these kids who have joined from all parts of India, they are going to do something magical in the next eight weeks or so. So I request Sumitesh ji to welcome our speaker and Sumitesh ji also.
Uh, thanks, Dheeraj, and I think welcome to Pooja. I guess this is a platform that we are trying to curate for the students from the medical and the engineering and the biotech biomed faculty here. And I think this is the series of talks that we have in week one, which is basically to give them a perspective of the things that they can go on to do in the rest of the internship as they go forward. So Pooja, thank you for accepting our invite to be on talk today and accepting to give the talk. My brother and co-founder Sujitesh has also joined. So I'll just hand over to Sujitesh for a quick hello, and then I think we look eagerly forward to your talk. Sujitesh, over to you.
Yeah, good evening, Pooja. Many thanks for accepting to deliver this talk, and we look forward to a very inspiring sharing of your journey. And I think we all will kind of learn from this. And over to you. Maybe I'll reserve my something for Q&A. And I'll also encourage. I saw your note this morning. I'll encourage every student to use the chat window to keep the questions flowing, and and make this interactive. So I know it'll be difficult to do a Q&A as you present, but please keep sending out the questions. I'll request all the participants to do the same. Thank you.
Yeah. So with this, I'd like to. So I'll also introduce Samninder. He's our placement manager, internship manager. He's a PhD student. Samninder, if you can show your face and say hello. Yeah. You're on mute.
Sorry. Good evening, Pooja ma'am, and all the dear participants and respected sir. So I am the internship manager at this Aidothon 2023, and I'm also very excited to hear the exciting talk from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Samninder. So I'll just give brief introduction of Pooja before we start. So Pooja Kadambi is a leading innovation and clinical R&D activities for Dozen. Her strength lies in project management, innovation, process streamlining, and product development in various clinical areas. She also understands and supports regulatory strategies for CDSCO, US FDA, MDR CE. She is fundamentally a biomedical engineering engineer with a focus on end-to-end product development. So she has completed her master's in computer engineering along with clinical research fellowship in the Department of Emergency Medicine, both from the University of Cincinnati. And her thesis and MS thesis was brain computer interface for fatigue assessment, and she's a her fellowship research was on evaluating the role of EEG in the emergency department for patients suspected of status epilepticus. So with this, I welcome Pooja to please take over the stage and present her talk. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, and thank you everyone for having me at this talk. It makes me really happy when I see Indian institutes have more collaboration with industry, something that I was more used to in the US. But I am very, very happy to see more interdisciplinary work, and I've kind of tried to bring that into my talk today. to applaud the spirit of the program itself and to show you kind of what the benefits are of, the magic, as Sir talked about, of having doctors and engineers together. So roughly, it's going to be in a very accelerated talk, of course, but since you guys are accelerated students, I'm sure we can cover a lot. So part of it is about the journey of product development in medtech, and one of the focuses is on how the interdisciplinarity within teams or within the innovation process can actually help create the best kind of products, along with R&D in medtech. So because I lead research and development at Dozy, and that's kind of my focus area right now. And you guys, even though you're a prototyping, conceptualizing, it is in what I would call the pre-product or the R&D phase. And so there are some lessons to be learned in that, and specific considerations in the clinical research side of things. Of course, I currently work for a company called Dozy. I'll just show you a brief snippet of what some of those decisions and journeys has been, because it is one of India's leading medtech startups. And since I know the ins and out of it right now, I felt it would be appropriate to present it as a case study today. And the final takeaways. And so with each of these segments, I'll go through some things. You can put your questions in the chat at any point, and I will pause during the presentation itself to address things. So without further ado, so this is what people think product development is like, right? And a lot of people see these FDA waterfall diagrams. It's more like this. It looks, it's you go back and forth. Lots of things are done in parallel. It's quite a chaotic environment, and it's not going to be, as streamlined as what the diagram you saw. And even more so, it's not even like this. It's more like this. Like this is literally from the US FDA circuit of the web of product development. And as you can see, right, it's not. This is overwhelming and messy on purpose, because that's what the medtech product development stage is like. Since we are in a space that focuses on, helping those in need who are already in a critical state, safety is at the forefront. Being safe, people talk about safety and efficacy of drugs, of vaccines. The same applies to medtech. So when the stakes are so high, where someone is already in a bad state and you don't want to make it worse, and safety being the driving principle of it, things get a lot more complicated, things get a lot more serious. So this is typically how things are done. If you see, maybe right now, you're in the actually, let me see if I can turn on. Can I? No, it's not letting me have a laser pointer. That's fine. If you can see, like, you have the concept generation, the prototyping phase, and you have the preclinical, and then everything happens, right? And it's an endless cycle. Every time you have an improvement, every time you have a change. So one of the good things is there are a lot of steps after your need identification. So a lot of people focus on, this is my problem, and there's a very good school of thought around, it was invented by the Stanford design program. It's called biodesign. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of it, but it follows a very deep down approach of, you need to spend 90% of your time understanding your problem, and a lot of the geniuses in our world and even in history say that a thorough understanding of the problem is what actually leads to those breakthrough solutions. You want to be more like a rocket ship, those space launches, they plan for years and everything, but see how far they go. You want to be more like that when you're talking about paradigm shifting changes, when you're talking about revolutionary technologies. So once you identify it, I cannot underestimate, the importance of planning. And with proper planning, you can actually do a lot of things in parallels. You can efficiently get a lot of feedback. You can leverage the beauty of being within an academic sector. The second thing is around the feasibility, right? Before you directly, you can't just, or you shouldn't just directly start like putting it on patients or making claims around it. You have to do some sort of feasibility assessment, proof of concepts, and there's a lot of testing. And the feasibility testing planning cycles kind of go through for a little bit. And even once you launch, right? And when I say launch, I'm talking about deploying a product or solution, not so much about the commercial side, but once your product is actually in contact with patients, it's being used by doctors, nurses, whatnot, your work still doesn't end. You have to, when I say survey, I'm talking about not about a questionnaire. It's about understanding how your device is being used. How is it being misused? What are some things that maybe you overlooked? It's a constant cycle of continued improvement. And when you say planning, right, like what do you need to plan for? So again, because of the sensitive space in there, there's a lot of regulations. And the CDSCO now, India, most, if not all medical devices and in vitro diagnostic devices, including, SAMDS, which they say software as a medical devices, are being quite strictly regulated, and those things takes time, those things take effort, those things takes a mountain work of papers. So you need to plan for compliances to ensure legally, regulatory wise, everything you're above board. When you have a cool new solution, there could be potential intellectual property like patents. You might want to generate evidence through clinical studies. How do you kind of establish yourself, and how do you protect your uniqueness? The third thing is what a lot of people don't think of early, which is about scale, right? Especially in India, this is very important to think of. We're a very cost sensitive market, and we're a very high volume market. So upfront, right? Sometimes people identify the problem and they have a solution one off, but they're like, oh, this is really expensive at one sample, but at volumes it'll be fine or it'll work out. So you have to think of the scale of implementation. Even today in digital age solutions, right? Maybe your hardware is straightforward, but say you're hosting some sort of application or your software on the cloud. Every instance on an AWS server is going to cost money. Every call to things is going to cause, have a cost implication that you have to factor into your product offering. And then the second thing is even finance, right? It's not inexpensive to develop a product. People often underestimate how much they need. Like when I ask someone like, hey, how much do you think you need to like get a working prototype to market? They say things like, 50 lakhs or 1 CR or something like that, not factoring in, paying for people, paying for their time. Literally, they look at raw materials. And so when do you need money for what purpose is something really important that has to be considered. I don't see a question typed in the chat. Vedant, do you mind putting your
Uh,
question there? Otherwise, it'll be very disruptive if I keep asking people to unmute.
yes,
But go ahead. But in future, can we just type the questions?
okay, I'm sure. Like I want to ask that in like software development, we basically use agile method
Yes.
to develop the things. So
Mhm.
does in this also we will use agile method, or like there are other methods too?
No, so absolutely. So for the development portion, right, in the product development aspect, when you're talking about the planning, testing, feasibility, when you're building your product, when you're doing your concept development side, you absolutely can use agile methodologies. Even when the product's out in the market, right, the improvements, the beauty of a software thing, you can run sprints. You can run it, and in fact. It's a great question because I run my projects in an agile methodology, meaning start fast, fail fast, focus on the outcome, and have a deliverable working prototype. So it's a fantastic mindset, and that can be applied to all, except when there's third parties involved. So with regulators, right, or with IP, when there's a huge, even clinical trials, when there's a huge dependency on an external factor, it'll sort of won't work out as well. But what we follow is kind of a hybrid model where you have a traditional, more of like maybe people have seen Gantt charts or like those dependency, a more traditional longer term development model with each in-house kind of function and interdisciplinary role run as sprints or in an agile methodology. So it's a fantastic question. I didn't think we had any business folks in the audience and stuff too much, so I didn't talk about the project management side. But I would strongly recommend that you follow, especially in the shorter internship period and all of it, right? You target it like an agile thing. Start with something. In fact, you might even be able to do almost like a hackathon thing. Every 48 hours, update it. Pick only like a few stories and knock it out from that perspective. So the lessons, when I say lessons from the team, right, like I have learned more from my peers and from just being in the situation than I ever have from textbooks. Not dissing education or textbooks, but I'm saying the nuances of the Indian medtech ecosystem, right? Having to build something not from an assignment but to function in the real world, um, is one. And these apply to even these lessons, and what Vedant mentioned, right? These actually, if you look at it, it does bring about principles from an agile methodology. You have to be flexible. meaning you have to learn to adapt so that customers will adopt your product. If something is not working, don't beat your head on it. Try something else. If you have if a doctor said, I want ABC, and then when you go with the prototype, he's like, oh yeah, this is nice, but I also want XYZ. It's not like they lied to you. It's that as your product's evolving, they will focus on this level requirements. When you hit those, they will give you the higher level. So you have to be flexible. You have to be willing to listen to feedback. Perseverance, right? If someone says this is useless, or if people are like, this is not working, why are you doing this, all of it, if you build in that confidence, right? I'm not saying you chase down a wrong path, but if you are sure, if you have data backed evidence that this is how it should work, this is actually going to help, a good understanding of the need of, yes, this is a problem, be willing to defend it. Don't bow down to what another person says, or a hierarchy, or someone who has extreme expertise. Trust the expertise for that domain. And they could be, and I'm not saying a doctor cannot be a brilliant data scientist, or a data scientist cannot come from a medical background, but I'm saying for a collaborative and interdisciplinary approach to work, right, there has to be immense respect for each individual's contribution and thought process. And this is something I do emphasize more when I talk to Indian universities, because it's very easy. I've seen professors also complain to me saying, we try to do something with the students, but the minute there's a difference in hierarchy or a difference in department, everyone just kind of like waits for the senior most person to say something, right? And so these are the kind of things you have to break down. And the learning part, right? The lesson for what I said, you have to keep learning. Today it's the information age. There is no excuse for not being able to. You may not know something, but you should be able to find it out. You should be able to know what you don't know what you can find out yourself, and constantly self-learn, constantly update your information from each other, from a variety of sources. And when I talk about boldness, right, it is about a calculated risk. If you're actually innovating, right, that means there's no solution to the problem. And if there's no solution, that means you have to take that leap of, this is what exists, this is what I know, and this is what it needs. And so without that boldness, no one would be able to invent anything. There's a reason the stereotype of mad scientist exists, right? It's only called madness until you prove you're right, and then you're a genius. The jury is still out on me. I get called both at different days during the week. So what I have found, right, in my 12 years of experience, is these are the overarching principles that drive everything. Whether it's your Six Sigma efficiency, whether it's your evidence-based medicines, your protocols, your flow diagrams, your algorithm, people like efficiency. They want that simplicity. Now, when I say simple, that doesn't mean I'm talking about just 100 lines of code. I'm talking about the implementation, the understanding, and delivery has to be transparent, has to be straightforward, and the accountability of the same. And again, this accountability is what doctors have to their patients, what hardware has to the customer in terms of like not overheating, delivering. And also, even from an algorithms perspective, or even people talk about deep learning, AI, all of that, you are still accountable. You can't say that the AI said, give the patient like 5 mg epinephrine, and I'm sorry, they arrested. That is not acceptable. So accountability is part and parcel of medtech development. The second thing I've covered, like the need aspect and everything, and so that's what user centricity is all about. And when I say grounded, right, this is something that I encourage. I still do it. I encourage every member of my team, don't sit behind a desk in front of a computer. There's signal acquisition is part of signal processing. The data sources are part of data science and data analysts, right? So if you're not sure why something's not working, or if you need context to why is this signal like this, why is this ECG artifact, go to the field, see it, silently observe what is happening. And I'm of a very, very strong belief that you cannot innovate in medical devices without immersing yourself in a hospital or clinical environment. That doesn't mean you spend 24/7 there, but you still need to have that grounding and that foundation. And anyone in the clinical field, if we have doctors here and nurses, will tell you that the school textbooks and when they did their internship, right, like zameen asman ka farak hota hai. Like the difference between what they learned and what they saw and what they studied, the variances that you saw at individual levels, it was supremely important to have that hands-on stuff. And the same is true of engineers, of technologists as well. And maybe I should have changed the title a little bit, but I'm saying you cannot forget the human angle, right? There's a lot of complicated stakeholders in medicine, in healthcare, in companies, you have distributors, you have biomedical engineers, you have doctors, you have nurses, you have your own team, you have the tech team, everything. So maintaining relationships and understanding stakeholders is very important. So you have to find the right kind of partners. So it's a great thing that this is from an academic institute like this has a lot of power, right? You have the IIT, you have a medical college coming together, you have a lot of experts there. Second, in terms of, you don't have to reinvent the wheel or build everything from scratch, right? That's not even what the Make in India mission is about. Where you can get stuff done and where it's not your expertise, don't waste time. Just get it done and bring it in. Access to information, don't skimp on, not getting good sources of textbooks, of journals, whatever. And when you hire, you really need more doers than managers. Like, honestly, like I'm again, at a startup level, at a small company level, you need to look more at individual contributors and to kind of build those puzzle pieces to build the information that you require, rather than focusing too much on process and execution. And of course, this is again something, it's not so relevant to a smaller company or startup because they don't have a choice. But sometimes, people use consultants, or they'll spend money on firms to do their regulatory, to do their customer feedback. But when you do this right, and I've seen it time and time again, and I used to be these consultants, I've worked as a medtech consultant, and companies would hire me to do this. And there was always that gap, of, okay, I questioned, but who knows their product best? Those who are creating it, right? Who needs to make their customers happy? The company. Who is liable if they don't meet the regulatory requirements? So wherever you have a huge responsibility or an ownership, you should try to do it in-house or do it yourself or learn as you go. It's okay to make mistakes, but if you're doing it again, it would work out better in the long run, and you learn a lot in a very short amount of time. And this is something I mentioned upfront also, I'm just reiterating, right? People talk about, like, after the concept happens, what happens, like, even a product that's launched, you have an introduction where it's new to the market, then it'll grow, it'll update everything. In the mature state, it's fairly stable. And then you have a decline, which is where it's replaced by something else, right? And or a newer model of the same thing. And this can be seen with, the conventional, I think cancer treatment and all has great examples of this, with the cobalt-based, like, radiation, like widespread radiation therapeutics, all the way down to like linear accelerator and now seeding-based, radiotherapy, targeted care, and all of that. So you can see how, like, it's not like one technology is replacing the other, but it's a gradual thing of improve, 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 and then eventually either you get to like a stable state or it is replaced by something else. And always look at the picture, like when I say 360 degrees, right? Even your feasibility, if upfront, even in your ideas or concepts or whatever you come up with, if you look at it beyond, oh, I know how to work with sensors. This sensor can do this. What is the problem, right? People who have a technology in mind and then try to find a problem are often much less successful than people who understand a problem and then try to find what works best and grow with that. And so looking at from a 360 perspective, right? Build that into the solutions you come up with. See if it's meeting the requirements. See how it's going to affect the users. Understand, like, what are the different techniques or methods that are coming into place from that perspective. So are there any questions at this point? Otherwise, I will kind of go on to the next phase of it. I saw there was a chat. No. Okay. So no questions? You guys have like 5 seconds to put up your hand or type it.
Ma'am, actually, I was typing. So
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Say it.
Ma'am, like when there is a certain type of treatment that we are coming up with, suppose the patient is dealing with two different kind of disease at the same time. And suppose if we are concentrating on just one disease, it will affect the other. And if the vice versa thing can happen. So how do you come that over?
Is it Biranchi? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Great question, Biranchi. And let me try to give both a clinical example and a technical example, right? So in clinical, you call these comorbidities, right? Like someone, for example, one of the biggest and I'm sorry if we have these in the audience, one of the biggest fights I've seen is between the nephrologist and the cardiologist, right? About fluid overloading someone for the heart and then it affecting the kidneys, or even with so chemotherapy is also a really good example, right? It all comes down to fundamentally a risk benefit assessment, which is what happens if I do nothing? If the question is the patient dies or the patient's going to get worse, the founding principle of medicine from the Hippocratic Oath also is do no harm. So you have to, if doing nothing is going to hurt, you have to do something. Then it is a question of weighing the options, like how much can I affect this other disease, or how much worse can I get, which is the immediate one. Imagine if a diabetic patient goes into a cardiac arrest, right? Are you like, they're going to start chest compressions, they're going to start defibrillation. True, the sugar, he may be in hypoglycemic shock also, but they're going to first get the heart working and then they'll deal with the rest. So it comes down to priorities and a risk benefit ratio. From a tech perspective, right, you have these things that, so in statistics, you have things like, you call them confounding factors, or you call them conflicting requirements, which is, you're like, I want my algorithm to like run with, zero. I want only a 1 second lag. I want to see live stream of ECG. But at the same time, you're like, you know what? I want to know if there's an arrhythmia or not within like 5 seconds. You want no lag, you want 5 seconds, but typically I need a 30-second packet, right? To be able to assess, is it arrhythmia? Is the signal quality good? So that's what it comes down to. Then you have to go back to them and say, listen, do you want live or do you want arrhythmias? Which is the more important one? Are you willing to take a 30-second lag to get more accurate readings for arrhythmias? And most of the time, right, people will pick accuracy over a small delay, and so understanding the priority of those requirements is very, very important. And that's where the 360 comes in, because otherwise you will facilitate requirements for one person, and then you will realize in the ecosystem all of these other things are being affected. So that's a great question, and I hope I've covered it both for the technical and the clinical audience. Okay. Yeah. So again, this is not some Google definition or anything. I was introspecting on what is technology, right? And this is very bad math. Please don't follow this. I did an associative property with language, and basically said, I concluded that technology needs quality observations. That's how you get new ideas. That's how you do discovery, right? People always talk about that Apple and Newton and all of that things, but had he not had a fundamental understanding, had he not been thinking of things like gravity, forces, all of that, do you think that Apple would have done anything other than like annoy him when it hit his head? No, right? So it needs quality observations. And from that perspective, right, to me, interdisciplinarity is more than one discipline, right? You have a different skill set. Either one person has a couple of different skill sets, or you're bringing what is called multidisciplinary, which is a couple of people, each experts and one coming together to grow. The word diversity is used a lot in all different contexts. From a development perspective, from an R&D perspective, for me, the diversity angle is about each individual, the contribution and perspective of each individual. I want diversity of thought. I want diversity of ideas. Sometimes, you could have people of like different genders, different castes, different geographies, with fundamentally the same training, the same thought process, the same sort of underlying way of approaching problems. To me, that is not diversity then, because I will have everyone just focusing in the same way. And so it's all about perspectives. So medtech, even the word, you have medical and tech, right? So medtech, medical devices, it mandates diversity. So these are just some examples. Like, I love the startup ecosystem of India. And I thought I'd just present these. You guys can go through it later. But one of my favorite companies is Niramai, and it also is a plugin for, you have the clinical community and the technical community come together. And a very unique problem of the rates of breast cancer screening in India were low, not because of awareness, even educated people and all of that wasn't, but the cultural connotations, the sensitivity towards, getting a mammogram, being willing to, and the privacy around being able to do these camps and all of that deterred a lot of women. So they shifted the paradigm. They're like, forget about, like, not forget, but like, let's try to do something earlier. So they use a thermal camera that can literally be set up and operated like in a small stall or anywhere, even behind a curtain, and it can be self-done. So there's no technician, there's no second person, there's no, all those privacy concerns were alleviated. And it is actually, they got US FDA for their algorithm and they're exporting their solutions now. But it came out of this very, very cultural problem that the West had not faced, which is why no one had even thought this was a problem. Similarly, this other company, they call Arogya AI, right? Again, a very, very local problem of one, TB is not a problem that affects a lot of the developed world, let's face it. And even more so, right? If a patient comes coughing, bleeding, whatever, and they cannot get their medicine in that visit, the chance of them coming back again, many of them come from far away, is really low. So there was a huge rise in antibiotic resistant TB and all of it. And so they built a software or an algorithmic solution to be able to screen and sort of predict which sort of drugs would work better in these cases 100 times faster, so that within the same visit or just waiting half an hour, they can go away with the intervention, not just a follow-up visit where at least 30% were being lost. This company called Bempu realized, they focused on the stakeholder and they said, who is who is the most motivated to keep their kid alive? It is the parent, and very often it's the mother who has that contact, who people talk about it, that mother's touch or that sense. A mother sort of, because they're in so close contact, right? Their human neural network gets to know when their kid is not doing well or is not okay. And so they realized that you can't just occupy the neonatal care units and stuff with semi-healthy babies. At the same time, a lot of them were developing sepsis or hypothermia and stuff when they went home. So it was a simple band with nothing, and a lot of on-ground training with the mothers, with the ASHA workers, saying, hey, if this color changes, if this beeps, just put them on your chest, like hold them, keep them warm. If it still beeps after that, then take them to the hospital. No app, no interface, no battery changes, no charging, at a throwaway cost, just made so that every newborn could be sent home with the confidence that if something goes wrong, the mother will bring them back. And they are now in 51 different countries and part of like the UNICEF sort of maternal and child care package. And it's a great story with Ratul, who's the founder, and a friend who was in the US and part of Johnson and Johnson, I believe, came together with a group of designers, engineers, and interns to come up with this product. Going with the maternal and child theme, right? These two were students in BITS Goa. BITS Goa when I met them. And I'd evaluated their concept around doing a fetal. That time it was a very high level of, we want to pick up ST segment elevations in a fetus. And I'm like, if you're starting with that, we will not get to market for the next decade. So then they focused on, let's just be a better fetal monitor. Let us, get ECG drive, let's get better signal. And they created a labor unit, which again evolved over time. First, it was a patch and an app. Then it became this standalone kit that included a printer that has a Doppler probe that is able to get maternal inputs for fetal movement and easily be able to assess if the baby is going into distress. And until that first cut is made for an emergency C-section, the doctor can get continuous data and trends and build partograms and all of it. And they were students when they came up with the broader concept and incrementally getting towards it. I strongly believe that probably this year or next they will get to the ECG related features of the fetus. Another product for those people, Nachiket is from NID. Nitesh was an intern with the Stanford Biodesign program. And again, they decided to form a company together and worked on, 80% of respiratory distress babies, right? When they were coming from outside, were not making it. If the distance was a certain amount, if there was no support, they were coming in pretty much DOA or, blue in the face. And so they realized that the bubble CPAP machines, right, with the water and the things, they are not very transport friendly. Ventilators are really expensive. And so they created one of the world's first, So yeah, if Nitesh presented it, you saw their story, right? So Nitesh was an individual, Nachiket was an individual. I was at Inaxel and helped basically make that as a company, right? A concept with individuals turned into a company. So, but I'm sure he told the story of it, and I'm validating his story because I saw it happen live and I was part of the team. And so the no power dependency again is not something that most people outside need to think of. And it's not just in medtech, right? There's this fantastic company called Structure that decided to leverage agri waste to build strong materials, and they got certified materials that actually we used them during COVID to create like rapid hospitals that were needed for isolation wards and all of that. And why I picked the example is because one of her key stakeholders, one of her main employees, are carpenters in a material science company, because they are the ones who use it. They are the ones who innately know what are the properties, what are the requirements. And the farmers themselves, they used to have to pay to give the waste, to get their waste cleared. Now they get paid for the waste as long as it's segregated. So they have really, really invested stakeholders. Similarly, a company that realized that, again, culturally speaking and disproportionately affecting women, that there was a gap in terms of financial literacy. A lot of discussions on everything from like crypto to NFTs to mutual funds without enough literacy. So they picked up from there. This was a company on Shark Tank he's a IIT alumni himself, but he basically grew up in very, very humble settings, poverty-stricken settings, and saw the challenges faced to even learn and study when you don't have the time and money and resources to have private tuitions and all of those things. And so he was able to leverage his personal experience and the struggles that he took to become successful as an individual, to lift up a community that he knew more about than anyone else. Another person who was inspired, and they run their business entirely out of Mangalore, Mvolio Black Frog Technologies, for like a portable, like what you see on that backpack, right? It's to keep the cold chain maintained for vaccines and drugs. And they realized that this was a huge challenge. And in many of the rural and remote areas, people were literally using like polythene or milk packets with ice. And a lot of drugs had to be like thrown away, or potentially even ineffective ones were being given because of cold chain issues. This is a professor from Christ College he's a English professor who was seeing this issue with like straws and, like the needing to have a good alternative. And on his walks, he talked to some folks and decided to come up with something from, waste from the coconut trees and leaves to make these straws. And because he was a professor, right, he's not from a science thing. He just had the idea, he just had the thought, and he leveraged like the team. He went to the aerospace department, the legal department, the agriculture department, economics, just got with a team of students and professors and all of that to come up with this idea. So it shows that even the bias of you have to be from the sciences, you have to be an engineer to create something innovative and good. I just want to kind of shatter that paradigm. And so this goes back to what I was saying, right? Like, why do we care about this diversity of thought? Why talk to people? Why work with people across domains? Is because I think you can create an impact that way. You will find the right solution to the right problem. And the best ideas will come forth. Because if everyone thinks a bit differently, right? If everyone's bringing something different to the table, the chance of a bias is lower. You will be able to solve problems more, because you are limited. Even innovation and creativity is limited by what you know, right? So why not expand the human neural network to bring in all of those thoughts together? And your stakeholders also will be happier, because you can approach the problem from different angle, and it allows for growth, right? When I talk about the ripple effect, I'm like, people who otherwise maybe people thought like innovation or development or invention is a gatekeeper thing. If more people feel that spark of passion or this ability, like, oh, I can also contribute, I can also problem solve, you will grow as a company, as an individual, as a community, as an ecosystem. And we'll build the right kind of culture. There's a reason people talk about Silicon Valley or the Oxford Cambridge belt or the Boston area, right, for innovation. It didn't come from nowhere. It came because you had great minds, you had a system, you had an ecosystem, and you had academia, industry, government, all of these things sort of coming together. Any questions on this? I know I just threw in a lot of stories, but primarily they were to showcase like people like I've worked with, I've seen very close together across sectors, who are the real world kind of examples of innovation that was born out of student projects or internal discussions. So any questions at this stage? Otherwise, I'll move forward. All right. Okay. So this is where I come down to, right? You can always innovate. You can always improve things. It's about a mindset. So if you face a problem, right, there are a lot of people that are like so there's three kinds of people. There are people who don't even bother. They're like, this is how it is. It's not a problem. I must adjust. There are people who endlessly complain about the problem. They know everything. They'll just complain to everyone about the problem. And there are those who are so irritated by the problem that they solve it themselves or they seek a solution. Among the three, I'll let you guess who I think are the most useless in terms of from that perspective. And so you want to kind of be the third one, right? Even the pain points and healthcare, right? Unfortunately, or I would say unfortunately, all of us have probably had, say, a family member, a friend, a self. Everyone has had a touch point with the healthcare system at a personal level, usually, at least once in their life. And so understanding that perspective, looking at where were the improvements there, is it still true today? Just keeping your eyes and mind open to even identifying the problem. And basically, while you learn, while you work, while you think, and while you research, you can always build towards it. And when I say claim the idea, I'm like, yeah, if you think of something really good, don't just put it out there, don't just tweet about it. There is a scope for you to patent it. Patents are really valuable to a company, to individuals, and they help kind of establish the basis until you have a working model and like revenues. They really help to kind of establish the value. So innovation also, right? Like it's not, I understand lightning can strike at any time. You have phones and notebooks, you can get an idea at any time. But by creating a ecosystem, a framework, or even programs like this one, right, you can um, maybe you can improve the chances of lightning striking. It's like I said, yes, lightning can strike anywhere, but if I have a giant 60-foot like metal pole pointing to the sky, isn't it more likely to strike there? So think of this program and think of this opportunity, I would say, as a lightning rod for innovation. The empathy is where the design thinking and understanding the problem comes in. The scope is basically, what am I going to focus on? Which part of this problem can I focus on? And even technology, right? If your solution is, say, a drug, if your solution is, oh, I just need to train people to do better, or if your solution is more of a cultural thing or a bigger shift, I think you should not focus on that part of the problem. You should focus on something that you can achieve within the scope of what you have, within the skill set that you have. And then you do that, the brainstorming, prototyping. So ideation, prototyping, testing. Go back and forth till you have something. And so the business case, I don't know if we have any business folks in the audience, but this is not about how much I can sell, how much I can cost, right? When I say the positioning, it goes back to that empathy. Is what you have made actually meeting the requirements? Because then, even when you say what is your market, right? If you know how many people this is affecting, how many babies are, say, suffering from respiratory distress, what proportion are dying, that is your market. How many of them are having hospital births? How many of them are, actually accessing your solution? So positioning that actually helps you see how effective your solution will be. And so from my perspective, they hand over, of course, this to the product team for them to take it forward. Like my R&D work ends here. From your perspective, the handover may be a working prototype or a proof of concept or a patentable idea, something that is worth, taking forward as an individual or forming a company or an institute. I'm not sure how the outcomes of this program works, but whatever that is, right, have that kind of insight. And yeah, this is why IP matters. I won't get into too much detail, but it does give you certain rights. It does give you a certain exclusivity. It's proof that you thought of something that others have not. You don't have to tell someone you are cutting edge and unique if you have a patent, right? It speaks for itself. So from that level, and when people ask about patents, I often get a lot of questions because I don't think there's enough sensitization towards IP in our system today. It has to be novel globally, and it cannot be an obvious next step. Like, you have wheels that are round, you can't just change the diameter and say that, oh, I have made a better wheel. Like it cannot be a very obvious next change. So that's what people sometimes miss. The non-obviousness is like, is it a natural next step? If you have A, B, and C, can you actually make can you just say, oh, I'll do A and B and C and put a patent? It's not always that straightforward. And it has to have some use, and it has to be scientifically plausible. Like, you can't just write a patent today for a molecular level decomposition and reconstruction teleportation machine, because whoever reviews your patents is be like, this has not been proven scientifically. What is this person saying? So you don't have to have a fully working prototype. You don't have to have all the data in hand. But it has to be plausible, and it has to be detailed enough that someone who is not written the patent or who's not you can understand what you did and what you're claiming. So this is the other thing, right? We are in a great time in India today. We are a growing economy. We are the word innovation, entrepreneur. They are not treated as bad life choices as much as they were, say 10 years ago, 15 years ago. People are excited for, it's a cultural change with whatever. And there's a huge ecosystem for you. Like the G20 summit that's going on, right? Healthcare was a focus area, and there's a lot of work happening with that. You have grant agencies, you have non-for-profits like Path, you have VC funds, everything, a lot of them that have healthcare specific things. You have the Atal Innovation Mission, Biotech Ignition grants, lots of stuff. And the reason I put Shark Tank there, right, it's because even the common man, even people not in technology, right, they are getting excited about innovation. This is what helps you have that conversation. This is what is changing perception. And that is also important. There's so many channels. Like Think School is one of my favorite. I was, I think, one of their subscribers when they were in the hundreds, and now they have millions of subscribers, and they are a homegrown content for business cases and startup cases and a lot of things are a geopolitical for Indian perspective on YouTube. He's not a communications major. He's not a designer. He's a tech person that decided and has created a great opportunity in being able to share information. Also, like people with clinical studies, right? You guys are too early for all of that, but clinical studies should not be forgotten. Most people look at it as it is the end of a development cycle, but you should consider it as part of the process. That doesn't mean to say you put unsafe things in a clinical study. That is to say that you need to grow with evidence. You need to do smaller pilots. You need to build that up through actual clinical evidence, because in medtech, right, all the simulators in the world are not going to convince that doctor or that patient to use your product. Clinical evidence is very important, and doing it ethically, doing it the right way, and doing it with the right kind of methodology in place is very important. And now there's a huge focus and a huge buzzword called RWE, or real world evidence, right? Because your clinical study, they call them randomized control trials for a reason, right? The randomization also is in a very, very small subset. It is a very niche. The only thing an RCT tells you is in this particular Persian population, it worked. But in the grand scheme of things, right, in the real world, how is it behaving? And a lot more regulators, a lot of even evidence-based medicine practices and case studies and all of these things that come out, right? There's a huge focus on real-world evidence and being able to use that and leverage that to not add extra burden to your clinical studies or submissions is something like I'm really happy that policymakers globally are taking that into account. Secondly, one of the prime factors, right? We hear about digital health missions, the Ayushman Bharat. We are getting connected. One of the most difficult things of healthcare thing is data was very isolated. It's very protected for good reason. It's not digitized. We're getting into a place where we can leverage this. If you want to build a digital twin, if you have an EHR, that's so much easier because you'll have these data sets. You'll be able to, you have wearable devices. You have all of these sources of data. And so the last thing is, the company I work for, Dozy, right? The two founders are IIT alumni from the mechanical engineering department that were very passionate about race cars. And they had good jobs. They had opportunities. They were about to go for their masters to premier institutes abroad when they realized that, through to personal circumstances and things, they realized that, okay, it's cool working on cars, it's cool, having this, but what difference does it make? We're making a race car go just that much faster. We really want to make a difference. They're supremely patriotic to the point of like, one of them has like one India tattooed on their arm and the other one has like, a flag. So they really, really wanted to do good. There's some, and so they decided to take a chance, not do the masters, give up their very, very lucrative jobs and try to do something in healthcare. And they realized that, the lack of data, right? A lot of the data, they chose to focus on the vital parameters because those are an indication of health. And saying just checking it once a day or once every few hours, it's not good enough. You don't have long-term trends. You're missing people. You have more emergencies. So you need to be able to have connected health. You need to have individualized health. You need to be able to know more about your patients. And so, they were founded in 2015. They took a whole year to decide the concept, to see, I want to focus on monitoring this technology called ballistocardiography, which is, using micro vibration. So it's actually a contactless vital parameter monitor. Nothing's touching the patient, and we're able to get vitals and getting into the field. Now, a lot of acceleration happened during COVID because they quickly pivoted. You know what I said about flexibility? They incorporated like an SpO2 sensor and meter, and people were able to set up these command rooms and monitor like hundreds and hundreds of patients during the COVID-19 crisis, especially when there were bed shortages, oxygen shortages. They were able to even do it at home in sort of tent hospitals, all of that. And so this is just showing you, you know, the racetrack is just a homage to their journey, but it's kind of showing you that how you work, right? Like you starting, you're accelerating, you prove, you get to a certain stage, and then you start focusing on the bigger picture, the acceleration, the scaling, all of those things. That's part of like a startup journey, and it's not a fast one. I know it seems like a lot was done in, you know, the last 8 years or so, but it's still much higher than say like a fintech startup or a game startup on an app where they'll do it. And so in terms of impact creation, right?
Pooja, sorry to disturb, Pooja.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pooja, actually, we have another speaker at 6:30. Maybe we
Okay.
can close for handling question answers also.
Okay, I'll wrap it up soon, but I do want to say that we started almost like 10 minutes later than I anticipated, but I'll wrap it up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. So this is so what I meant, right? Ballistocardiography, I was talking about the micro vibrations, right? It's about getting signal from noise. It's about getting something that just looks like a messy barcode data and pulling out vitals from it. We have the world's first non-contact blood pressure estimation. And again, you can't just fixate on the idea, right? The stakeholders don't want, contactless is nice, but they also wanted all those accessories, and they wanted temperature and all of that. So we can't just say, no, we are a BCG company, that's what we're going to do. So it's lessons on listening to your customer and delivering the solution, right? Building into alerts, being able to monitor at home. Some people have wanted to do mass screening at factories and workplace locations. So looking at all of this, and fundamentally, right, the main lesson I want to give is it's about trust. In healthcare, trust is king. And the way you build trust is by showing compliance, having third parties evaluate your data, doing publications on your results, getting patents, all sorts of things around that. So you have to build trust into your system. And these are the 5 main takeaways that I have. And I'll leave this up here, and I can answer any questions in the meantime. Yeah. So I'm done from my side. I saw emphasis on value-based innovation and Jugaad. What are the tenets you regret? That's a great question, Vedant. So his question, if you see on the chat, is about like what you talk about value basing and Jugaad, right? When I mentioned scale, that's the important part. So I think the Jugaad approach is fantastic from a mindset perspective of, you know, fail a lot, fail early, and then move on to the next thing. So I think in the prototyping, the concept stage, doing a Jugaad just to see if something works is great. But if you do not build your value engineering and your design for scale and cost effectiveness, you will not be able to do that. So I think having a factor, right? Even when you evaluate your solutions, building a metric that assesses, is this scalable? Is this cost effective at that scale? And is this technology established, right? Like if you're doing something, you can de-risk things. So assessing your risk early and building your your evaluation of which idea is better, which idea should go for, having a framework to evaluate your concepts that include the longer term scale and sustainability, I think would be a great way to do it. Are there any other questions? I didn't see anything else typed. See. Okay. Yeah. So I see the question about like contactless blood pressure monitoring. So it is a luggage. So one of the things, right? How do you convince people? You convince people with evidence. So one of the biggest things we are doing this year is we're doing some real world impact studies where you do an observation study. You show that, hey, we had these vital parameter monitors. You do head to head. You have a ward where you have vital checks, and you have a ward which is standard of care, and you show the difference that it makes. And so the only way to tackle the issue is to, one, show the evidence that it improves patient safety, that it actually adds value, it saves nursing time, it helps streamline things. And then the second part of it is, I think because of because of the more scrutiny that's happening, right, with medical legal cases and all of it. Soon it won't be a luxury anymore. It'll be kind of a necessity. So that's what it is. Hi, Cheryl. Yeah, so ballistocardiography, so it comes from the word ballisto, meaning movement, cardio is heart, and graphy is plotting. So fundamentally, right, it works on the piezoelectric effect. So there are these sensors that can convert mechanical energy to an electrical voltage. So basically, there's a sensor sheet under the mattress, and we have a lot of digital signal processing and filtering algorithms that are able to look at, yes, when you're moving, you have the higher amplitude movements, but to look at the very, very small kind of changes that are happening on, if I show you the signal, right, if you see the bigger waves in green, those are your respiration, your diaphragmatic movements, and the smaller blips that you see on there. In fact, if you have good eyes, you'll see two blips are the lub and dub, essentially. I mean, not exactly the lub dub. It's not about the valves. It's more about the systole and diastole as such. So in terms of is it as good as standard BP monitoring? I mean, it depends. We've done our studies with arterial blood pressure monitoring, and we are within plus minus 10 mmHg with that. So we are very, very comparable to cuff, and in many cases we're better. And when I say cuff, I'm talking about the traditional sphygmomano. Our clinical benchmarks have been against IBP or ABP, which is the invasive arterial blood pressure monitors. Any other questions? Does adopting a broad approach to innovation address a variety have advantage to being? I think focus is very important. You can have a broad area, right? Like, I mean, sometimes I have like ideas beyond monitoring and everything, but if you go too broad, you'll end up being a shallow pond. It takes a long time to be an ocean, and even like GE, right, or bigger MNC companies, they sort of acquire people with niche expertise, or they have multiple departments that go in depth. So I think especially when you're starting out with an idea, right, especially if you're solving a problem that hasn't been solved, a single-minded focus and approach to this is the problem. Now, how you solve it can be as broad as you want, but fixating on like one problem or one set of related problems, I would say, is the way to go, especially early, and that will give you the most sort of timely results and probably the best quality of results as you start branching out. Affordability. So I think so. It's my opinion. Saying it doesn't have to be affordable at a prototype level. Your first devices can, I mean, as a company, you eat the cost, right? But I think you need to think of at a volume of say 1,000 units, or if it's a diagnostic test at 100,000 units, whatever. What is your COGS going to be like, which is cost of goods sold? So what is your price going to be like? And then applying the factor of profit margins, distributors, everything. So usually, if your cost is X, you have to sell it for at least 4.4 to 5x to be able to cover your operating expenses, your R&D expenses, all the other stakeholders in place. So I think you should factor in affordability if you are targeting developed markets like India, Brazil, China, Africa, and so on. And so, like I said, when you evaluate your concepts, right, just like I said, you can make scale or sustainability as one thing. I think your end customer pricing should be this. All right. Anything else? Do stakeholders manipulate the cost? I think stakeholders do have a impact on the cost, like it comes from them. And it's not about manipulation, right? Like different things, stakeholders have a different focus. Like a private corporate hospital, it's like you said, government hospitals, you have to show evidence and patient care, because that's what's going to, and showing them that you're not adding effort to their nurses. In a corporate hospital, if they can charge a premium for a particular service or technology and enough people will pay for it, they'll implement it. So from that aspect, right, which segment you're marketing to, who is your user, who is your buyer, who's your payer? Sometimes these three are not the same thing. Understanding that is important. And if you're India has a very, very complicated distributor network and margin, which does add some costs and layers. And without distributors, trying to go direct into hospitals is close to impossible for a new company. And healthy collaborations within team. Okay, so firstly, if you're in medtech, anything that you say require lesser medical expertise, that statement itself is wrong. because if you're focusing on the technology, right, without the context of where it's going to be applied to, I don't think is going to be a good option. So healthy collaboration, I think there are tools, even when you brainstorm, right, there's techniques where you have the problem statement, you have the context, everyone focuses solo for say 10 minutes, 15 minutes, puts ideas on the board. You don't tear down ideas, you don't say no, you guys just build together. Try to speak like one person at a time, hear people out, and give that deference to that expertise. Give the opportunity to all learn to say, hey, I don't know, but let me find out. Kind of a divide and conquer approach. I think that's would be how best to work as a team. And I think the last question that we have for time is resources to active research going on in rheumatoid arthritis. I don't know specifically for rheumatoid arthritis, but you can set up like a Google Alert, or you have PubMed and things, right, with the mesh indices and stuff. So you can do literature surveys around that. There's also the rheumatoid arthritis societies and the professional groups of doctors that focus on that. So they'll have conferences, they'll have meetings, CMEs. So I think that would be a great place from a wealth of information. So I would say do literature, these sort of professional societies and groups and conferences, and also then some specific, you can do some one-on-one kind of interactions or interviews or research on that, and they'll be able to point you to more specific resources. I think that's all we have time for. So
Yeah, Pooja. Thanks a lot for very nice overview of what to do, what not to do, and the kind of expertise you are sharing. It's very rare. I'm sure students will have questions, which I probably will route you through email or something, maybe sometime.
sure,
Okay.
sure.
So
Yeah,
I,
if there's a specific thing, we can do a specific Q&A another time. Maybe once they have some concepts or once they have more tangentials, I'm more than happy to set some time aside to give some feedback on their concepts.
thank you. Thanks a lot. So
Thank
Pooja, thank you. And from Sumiteji, if you want to say a few words to close it.
No, thanks, Pooja. I think it was so engrossing that the passion that you brought in was absolutely fantastic, and you can see from the number of calls. We usually tend to run out of time with our speakers, so please don't feel offended that
No,
we
no, of
couldn't
course not. No,
we
of course
couldn't
not.
get your all call. But I think all the students, I'm sure, would love to. And what we also do, Pooja, just to give you a heads up, is in the middle of the 6 to 8 weeks semester, we also have an evaluation panel. So I would request Dheeraj to extend an invite to you if you could make it to that panel and maybe see how the people are doing along. So that would also
They're
be another.
actually in IIT Ropar, then I'll consider it, because if they have actual physical solutions, doing it online will not be fun at all.
So fantastic. So Dheeraj, that's a challenge back to you.
Sure.
All the students.
Yeah, I'm sure student will have a few things to show. So yeah, that will probably happen by say towards end of June. So
Yeah.
I'll keep you posted on that. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Good luck, everyone. And I'm really, it's great that there's such a program. So thanks for having me.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja.
Yeah. So with the great enthusiasm, I would like to now welcome Shruti. I'll request Sumitesh or Suteshji, you please welcome.
Sujitesh, you can take it forward.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Dheeraj. And yeah, so I know Shruti ma'am joined us. I told her to join a little early, so I think 10-15 minutes. Thanks for the patience. If I can have you on camera.
She's on camera. I can see her. Hi, Shruti. Hi.
Hello, sir. Hello, everyone.
Oh, hi, yeah, hi. So I can see you. So I think Shruti, for us, we don't need an introduction. I think I introduced you already in the session earlier, actually yesterday. But very quickly, Aid Kriya, or from our side, we got to know Shruti in the first week of March when the the finale week of Shark Tank season 2 got broadcasted, and I think almost the same week I reached out. I was quite so touched by the product, and we were looking something in our space around rheumatoid arthritis and IBD, right, which impacts motion, and this was a product which uniquely fitted and solved the issues for partially disabled patients or mobility enhancement. and I kind of reached out, and we got talking, and I think within a week, 10 days, we were able to start this off. So quite privileged actually to have you, and this is this is a bunch of we have around 32 participants in the Aidothon. Again, as you would know, it's a diverse kind of crowd, both from the clinical medical fraternity as well as technology, engineering, biotech. So we are looking to hear, from you, your journey. What were the challenges you faced while taking this product, and what are the current challenges? What's the roadmap you have? And obviously, it's not a reality show. Let me tell you. So this is all real, and I know you did a great job in your Hindi translation. So this is all English. So yeah, over to you, and I'll request Dr. Dheeraj also to welcome from
Yeah.
IIT Ropar. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Shruti. Really a grand welcome to you from IIT Ropar. This is a very unique program with lot of hopes and the women power showing up in this. It's amazing for our women participants also. So, Shruti, we have seen your Shark Tank videos. It's amazing work that you are putting up, and I think kids are excited. The students are excited. So, I look forward to your talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you, for the warm introduction. It's so welcoming for me to be here at this point of time and join the program. So, no presentation from my side, don't worry. I'm not going to take it in a very formal way. Let's interact, let's know about each other. So, I'm here to share my journey, and please let me know how my journey or any kind of questions can improve your journey as well. So, let's create a win win situation for both of us. That's the main motive for me to come over here on this board today. So, yes, little bit about the introduction background, what we do, and uh, what did I do in the field of education. So basically, I'm a biomedical instrumentation engineer. I did my bachelor's from here, Avinash University from Coimbatore, and did my master's from Alliance University from MBA International Business. I did. So, as you have seen in the Shark Tank program, and those who have not watched the episode, yeah, this is based upon the true incident where I got to see a mobility impaired patient was struggling to go to the toilet. Uh, the first thing which struck my mind was why there is no devices, why there is nothing to help them out. So that's how the whole journey of Sahayatha started. So Sahayatha is a wheelchair, it's a stretcher. It has also got a toilet with the assistance of cleaning themselves with the water. So this we started in 2018 in specific. We got registered as a private limited company in 2019, and from then we started our journey. We have like failed so many times. These are some of the what to say. I don't say a victory, a milestone which has to be achieved in a particular certain time. So yeah, we struggled a lot in securing a funding initially, and after that we developed a prototype which did not work well, and started a clinical validation. So there are a lot of struggles. The best thing is to look out for the opportunities even if you're struggling. So let me tell you, we developed a first version of Sahayatha. Okay, so it was very crude. It eventually looked like a robot. So we have to take, is it a medical device? Okay, we have to take Sahayatha product to hospital for a clinical study. We was wondering how do we take this, and we took it. You know what happened? We were not allowed inside. They said it's looking really weird, and we won't be able to allow this product inside. I was like, okay. We came back. We literally came back. Then again we approached the mentors online. We got things. We actually re-prototyped, re-engineered the product again and again. Guess what? We re-engineered it 118 times. That's insane, I know, but it's like 118 times. And that's when we got to say like, okay, now the product is good, we have to take it to the hospital. That time the hospitals welcomed us. The journey is 5 years, from 2018 to now, from the ideation stage to the market. and we recently launched it in the market after the clinical validation. When I talk about the clinical validation, there comes the struggle. See, no clinical background at all. Being a biomedical engineer, no connects with the hospitals, no connects with the clinicians. What to say? No one from the family is also a doctor. How do we take the clinical trials? Went and approached so many hospitals, got some permissions. There comes the COVID. What do we do? Okay, so I got stuck in Chennai. I'm from Coimbatore. Chennai is like 18 hours from Coimbatore. So I have to stay back. I was observing what can be done. We have to complete the clinical trials as well. I got to notice there was a continuous COVID patients on the ward struggling to like get up from the bed, where the nurses were very busy in like sorting out the emergency cases. So I asked the hospital team members, why don't we put Sahayatha on their bedside such that there is no need for them to get up and walk till the toilet, which really worked out. The only thing is, keeps your eyes and ears open as an innovator and think what can be done. So that thing which actually made them to put one Sahayatha on each COVID ward, which actually completed our clinical trials. We took a clinical trials about like 1,000 patients during the 6 months. And of course, in the clinical trials, we had so many titrations of the products again. And finally, we launched the product. When we launched the product as a innovator or launching a product with so much of love towards the brand, with so much of love towards the product, and when I name it Sahayatha, a helping hand, I used to tell Sahayatha is the world's first wheelchair. As a founder or as an innovator, we just carry it out in our mind as a baby. And the side effects of carrying out as a baby is Sahayatha is the world's first wheelchair. Why do anyone has to buy it, purchase it? Where they are getting wheelchair for 5,000. Sahayatha, we are selling it for 40,000. Here comes how an innovation solves the problem. So I would like to share a video as well from the very first customer. So if you can give me access.
Yeah, you have access. There's an arrow button towards sky. You click on that in the
Yes,
middle of your
yeah, it shows no access of presenting.
no access.
Yes.
Which is possible. Just a minute. Uh, Wait.
Yes, sir. Now I
Yeah,
got it. Is the
yeah,
screen visible?
yeah. I can see.
Perfect. So this is the product Sahayatha, and we
Sorry, just a minute. Your video is just coming. Okay.
okay.
Uh,
I have not on the video yet.
yeah. Means your screen just got shared. Now you can play the video.
Sure. So this we sold to a very first customer called Geeta Mohandas, who is very special to us. So now let's see what Sahayatha has made a difference in her.
Shruti, I'm afraid your video is not showing up now. So
It's
if you're
still
sharing,
present. It's still presenting. It shows it's presenting, but yeah, it's I think now off. Maybe you can try once more.
Sure. Is it visible now?
no. Uh, mm,
I think we are not getting your screen. Yeah. Now
yeah.
it's coming. Now it's coming.
Now?
We are getting. The screen is not showing up. I mean, it says Shruti is presenting, but is there a link that we can use and maybe Dr. Dheeraj can
I'm
present?
sharing my screen again. Let's try one more time. Yes. Is the screen visible now?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Sure. So would like to explain little bit.
No, sorry, Shruti. I think, are you sharing a certain window or the full screen?
I'm sharing a certain window, sir.
Yeah, that may be a problem. In case you can share the complete screen, it may work out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sharing this complete window now. No, I'm not able to share the window.
This is the first time actually something like this is showing up.
Is there a link, Shruti, which you can
Sure,
send in
sir.
the chat window, and maybe
Yes.
we can try playing it?
Yes.
Mm,
So I'll continue what I
okay.
was saying. So a very nice experience when the product got delivered. When she said now her mother can relive the journey, what she is, and the assistants. So usually what happens is we are reducing the number of assistants from 3 caretakers to 1 caretaker, and it's a very very common problem. The first thing which all of us would do is to go and in a starting a race go and use the washroom. For so many years they are using washrooms by themselves, and one fine morning they are completely dependent and they wanted to ask for help. It's very very pathetic. Sometimes they don't ask, sometimes they feel very embarrassed to ask even to their own son, daughter, relatives, caretaker, whomsoever it may be. So even they kept the caretaker for my first customer. Still, she was not able to access the entire thing because she was so shy. The dignity which matters, her dignity completely got shattered because someone is coming and touching her body after urination and after passing stools. So after Sahayatha was placed, she said she's feeling so dignified. So that is the moment of happiness which we got from all the 5 years of struggle in R&D, all the clinical validation, whatnot. So after selling one product, we thought, okay, now the product is going to gear up. No worries. From here, it's only ahead. We were not able to sell. They said 40,000 ka product, nahi chalega. What do we do? That's how we landed up on the Shark Tank on the same in the 6th month, I guess. So after Shark Tank, it's like all good, touch wood. So we are selling pan India from Jammu, Kashmir to Kanyakumari. We have touched every states. This month we are also shipping a container to UK. We have got 8+ dealer distribution network. So from one, now we are to 500. We have sold around 500 plus units in the past 3 months. So I get, I guess this is a very short journey, but in specific, if you can ask me any questions, whatever journey which I explained you, I'll be happy to answer. Let's keep the session informal today.
Yeah, thank you, Shruti. So yeah, so we are open for questions. So please raise your hands, and then I'll enable people to talk. So Tanu, you may please start with.
Hello, ma'am. It was lovely to hear your journey. So from yesterday, we've been continuously being instructed that once you have fixed your problem, do not just drift from it, try to focus on it. So as you mentioned, your problem at the start was to solve the toilet problem of these patients who were immobile. So why did you end up making a stretcher and adding few more things to it?
That's a good question, Tanu. So when we see a problem, it's not only about the problem. We used to like get in the emotion, get the experience what the customer needs. So if we are doing something, will that be market fit? What all features can we fit into? So when I thought the problem, it was like a three conditions which applied. Shifting, there was a problem from bed to wheelchair, multiple transfer was taking place. Second point is toileting. Carrying from the bedroom to the toilet or from the area which they are located to the toilet was a problem. Third point, someone coming and touching your body after the toileting was a problem. So the problem when we cater is two things. One is locomotion, another was cleaning assistance. So We thought we'll develop something which is a bed, which is a wheelchair, which has also got the cleaning assistance. But later we figured out the bed portion will still take a lot of time for the customer to accept in the market. For the customer to accept in the market, in the sense it can be in terms of design, in terms of automation, where India is right now. If we are doing something very robotic, very automated version, which may not be much appreciated in the market. So we thought what is accepted in the market at this point of time, so we switched into a wheelchair. So as a startup, the best thing is we can switch anything in any point of time within seconds. So that's how we sorted down into wheelchair. Why specifically into wheelchair? So we developed something very crucial, which was not accepted. It was a very robotic kind of thing, which is a chair, bed, stretcher, wheelchair, everything, multi-purpose product. Then later on in the patient study, we understood what the patient needs. We started taking a questionnaire. What the patient specifically look for? What does the patient likes in terms of color? How much is the cost patient willing to pay? And as an innovation and a startup company, how much is the amount or the cost or the MRP which we can put into? So these are some of the points.
Mhm. Yes, some few are writing the message. Maybe I can go through one by one.
Sure, sir.
So Vedant is asking, yeah, good evening. And then, what was the value of having an interdisciplinary team in context with your solution, and what advice would you give us on engaging with multidisciplinary teams?
So, in my personal journey, I struggled a lot because I did not have a multidisciplinary team members on board. So, getting a team member is equal to a marriage, to be very frank. Getting a co founder is into another level. So, unfortunately, I had my father who was a co founder, but still, it can be a father and daughter, but still, we had a difference of opinion. He was into a mechanical stream, myself into a medical stream. We had a lot of differences. I said, Papa, this is going to work. He will say, no, mechanically, I want this to be done. So it has to be an interdisciplinary and figuring out them. Try to reach out through the LinkedIn, maybe with the help of these kind of cohort. We can explore what the other person's interest is. Does my interest attracts the other person's interest? Is our vision together? Can we build something together? ये करने से मजा आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? वो है at the end, because that's going to take us forward. See, I can like you today, I may not like you tomorrow, but what excites me is keeping me happy every time. So I think in that point, later on in the stage, we figured out the team members. We hired them. Okay. Later on, we said, see, as a team member, we would like to give you this position, and can you stay with us for these many years? We actually delivered some ease of pools. We gave some stake to them. So these are some of the things to retain them and also to build a healthy team. So interdisciplinary actually works.
Yeah, thank you, Shruti. So I'll request Madhvi to please ask question.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. So, as you told, the price was too high and you couldn't sell the product, but then you went to the shark and the distribution just increased. How did it actually happen with a reduction in the price? I mean, like, as you told, they were already wheelchairs at 5K, which were easily affordable by the patients. So,
Right. So there comes the many of the NGOs, particularly I would like to highlight about Aid Kriya. See, our product costs us 40,000 rupees for an individual customer, and the rates are very much different to the dealer distribution network as well. So Aid Kriya is one of the stakeholder who came into a picture and subsidized the product to 30,000 rupees. Now the 40,000 product is 30,000. The burden of the cost is being reduced from the patient side. The deserving patient with a set of documents and the medical reports after verifying, we gave them at 30,000 rupees cost. And how do we deliver to a customer who is not able to pay 30,000 rupees is we assist them by providing EMI options. So at this point of time, anyone with 2,000 rupees can order Sahayatha. So that is another thing which we actually regulated. And yeah, during the course of time, the product cost is also getting reduced. But this point of time also, we are keeping it and selling it at 40,000 rupees only.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, Ramjit, please carry on.
Good evening, ma'am. Uh,
Hi.
Ma'am, it was really inspiring to hear about your story. And ma'am, I was thinking that there is a thing called pressure necrosis when the patient cannot change his position because he is in the wheelchair. So the most dependent parts undergoes necrosis. And so, ma'am, I was thinking that how are you dealing with that in that regard? Thank you, ma'am.
So pressure ulcers, it's a very vast area. We don't jump into pressure ulcers. It can come to all the bedridden patients, and there are set of devices. We don't focus on that, but maybe in the upcoming devices, we are providing them in some assistance in terms of massages, not in terms of pressure ulcers, and changing the positions that we have really thought of, but it does not works. I'll tell you why. Changing the positions, we might not know in which position patient is comfortable. If we are shifting the patient in one position, along with the timing, lot of distress happens, which we figured out. And later we finalized we are not going to touch the patients if he is not comfortable at all. Because there comes the restriction mobility cases also, where we should not shift the patient in a particular state. So this shifting will definitely going to make some medical, what to say,
Yeah,
negative points on it as well. So we
okay. Ma'am,
decided.
I was even thinking about the solution regarding that problem. Like, ma'am, the most dependent part where it's touching the surface. So we can use like water matrices there in the device.
Yeah, there are air beds, there are water beds,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
how beneficial are they in the long term, and what is the impact they are creating? That matters.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Some questions in the chat box. Yes. You said Sahayatha was re-engineered. What is the factor you kept in motivated and pursuing your research? I loved it because Sahayatha was one such project in which I saw the problem, and the problem which I encountered was not the problem of one person. So when I got to see the story, I did not kept on going with the story. I went and did some research. What is the data behind? That comes in India, 30.8 million population requires such kinds of assistance. And what is the business proposition behind it? And how well we can support as a biomedical engineer? What am I doing here? There is no such device. People die during transfer, and the dignity which matters. What if I am facing the same situation in another 20 years or 30 years or 50 years? So what I did is, okay, let me go to various number of hospitals in different states and explore, is the problem real? If it is real, how it's being encountered in different states? Because the one in down south who is wearing sari, and the one who is in the up north who is wearing with some other dresses is not same, and the defecation system varies from the medical condition as well. How is it differentiated? How efficiently we can help them with such kind of device called Sahayatha? So from there the iteration kept going, and each new day was a learning process. So here I also tell to my team members, make new mistakes in each new day and never commit the same mistake the another day. So this thing which kept going, and there is one mantra which my mentor actually gave to me is, follow your passion, be very persistent along with your perseverance. So this actually worked out very well, and the kind of benefits and such a warm welcome which I get in the market now, it's just amazing. Only because of the passion, I would really would not have been reached till here. By following all these three mantras, I came here. Now people are ordering Sahayatha. Before, it was like me going and checking out to each and every hospitals and giving the brochures, giving them demo, and asking the clinicians and head of departments, uh, saying that, sir, I have developed something new called Sahayata, please do take a look. Now people are ordering it through the website. People are asking me, is there any dealer in Mumbai? We are looking for Sahayata product. So this is the difference which took along with the time. So it really takes time to get such kind of response as well. Yes. So many questions. So if you can read it out.
Oh yeah, as you mentioned, you turned a challenge to opportunity in COVID times for testing parts. I would like to get an advice on how to approach such organizations, hospitals for testing and making them understand the value and impact of product.
Okay, so to be brutally honest, there are two types of medical device clinical study and testing. One is the testing. Testing is nothing to do with data. They deploy their own team members there. Another is we going along with a team member and doing the clinical study. So we did not have any kind of funds in our hand. So we were about to go in person, be there day and night. They said, if you are able to appoint some nursing staff or final year pharmaceutical students from the same college, they will be able to help us out during the night if they wanted to use the washroom or something like that. I said, so we won't be able to give some funds for that or allocate some funds for that. So we would like to stay in person. So staying up and showing up each new day and approaching them every time will definitely make a difference. So for us, we were very fortunate, like Tagore College and Medical Hospital from Chennai who came up. So there is a question. We are from Coimbatore. We did a clinical study from Chennai. Why there is no hospitals which showed up in Coimbatore? Because of non-acceptance. We went again, they said no. We went again, they said no. We went multiple times and figured out, sir, why you say no to us. First thing, there should be a hospital structure where we get such kind of patients, which we really did not know. We took one random hospital, said हमको इधर patient study करना ही है, लेकिन हमको ये नहीं पता कि वो हॉस्पिटल में कौन कौन आता है, कितना numbers का inpatients है, outpatients है, and can the patients be utilized by us or our product or not. We should be very precise with the data before going and presenting our project in any table of clinical trials or any table of IEC boards or in front of any hospital members. So, which did not work out for us very well because of these kind of mistake which we did. Later on, by figuring out when we reached Chennai, we noticed, okay, these are some of the points. Let us present it very well. So which gave us some clarity how to present in which hospital, targeting which particular department where our clinical study should take place. And we said we don't have any funds in hand, we cannot appoint any kinds of manpower. It can be final year researchers from your colleges as well. So we went and stayed up there, a team of 5 members maybe, so which saved the cost, as well as the best part is we got to interact with the customers by ourselves, which actually took us in a greater impact side. We got to know what is the problem there. We got to know, okay, this is the problem which is not discovered from the team yet, and which we have to rework as well. So uh, take a list of hospitals, sort it down, what are the departments there, check which department is feasible for you, and talk to the clinicians. Ask them, sir, will the product be useful for you or the patients coming in? Can I check the products here? If so, what would be the process ahead? Is there any IEC board where I can come and present? So IEC board is a ethical committee where they plans for every 1 month. It depends upon the hospital as well, but the meetings keeps going. So we have to go and approach them. So when this is for the meeting, we have to go and present our idea and the product if you have physically. So just go and present there, and That is the first step of any patient study or the pilot study, which happens in the hospital. Yes, sir. So,
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am.
hi.
Ma'am, as you mentioned that you have a talk to the patients who are suffering from this problem for their demands, but they are expecting to be in their product, in your product for their demands. But there might be a possibility that some person is demanding some more and some is demanding some less. Then how did you manage to be the moderator to between them? That this is the optimal thing that you should include in your that chair.
Okay, so still now we are facing this trouble. Okay, so some patient this morning, let me tell you, this morning, one parent came up to me and said, my kid has got a medical condition, so and so, and I require such kind of Sahayatha which can carry up to 200 kgs, which can carry the complete health faucet cleaning system, and where they can take bath in by placing their child in that. The child is little obese or healthy, so they wanted to recheck the certificates of the load stability. I said yes sir, that we can show, but only specific thing is we don't have a load stability for 200 kgs. We had a load stability for 100 kgs, so he requested for the customization. There comes an issue. So customization cannot happen, can happen in a smaller scale. Now we are just growing. So customizing one product as per his specification and giving him code, working out a new design for him will really kill the time for us. Where we have an orders in our hand and on another side. So I said, so customization cannot happen. So this I say upfront. We ask few set of questions to our clients. So the four questions which I regularly ask them is, what is their medical condition? What is their weight? What is the hip size? Does they have control in the urine or motion? So these four questions will give a picture what kind of patient they are. Does they need Sahayatha or will they never need Sahayatha? If they don't need Sahayatha, we'll tell them, sorry sir, you don't need Sahayatha. Your medical condition is something different which Sahayatha cannot deliver the output. So by doing an evaluation, by talking to them, we sort it down. And customization part, we decided in the initial phase of the company, we are not going in a customization way. So that is the reason why we don't take up also. We sort it down based upon the clinical validation. These are some of the features which has been highly shown. And with this cost, we can provide them this kind of output. And we sorted out the features. That's how we cleared.
Ma'am, but if a patient is willing to pay more for the customization, ma'am, I think you should customize for them.
So let me tell you, here time is money.
Yes, sir.
If you're putting time in a particular wheelchair, I'll tell you how much time does it takes for us to build one wheelchair. Per day, we have to manufacture 5 wheelchairs,
Yes, sir.
and the people working in the manufacturing unit is we have this much number. So the production should go on in that pace. If we lose one day with so many rupees, if they are willing to pay me 1.5 lakhs also, I won't be ready.
Ma'am, but the population of India is so much high that the person having the problem may many more having the same problem.
Similar problems we can do. Where comes the manufacturing scalability? If the problem, if the same 200 kgs capacity problems comes to me more than 10 times, I'll look for one more version.
Yes, sir.
We'll manufacture that and keep it, add it in my variant of Sahayatha.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, Milan.
Ma'am, can you please take my question? I already put it in the
Sure.
chat box.
Oh, really? If you can tell me, there are so many questions. Okay.
Yeah, like ma'am, after finding the what the real problem is, and on the section you guys are working as a team, it is really important to examine each and every possible prototype you are creating, or there might be some model nearly close to yours? How does the team work on that part of the developing such a device, man?
So each and every prototype, when it was a failure, we were happy because we figured out what will not work. Okay, then later, if the things were working, we were worried because we have to think ahead. Okay, we have to build the tools, molds, dies, everything for that. So team was in that phase. By figuring out, we got to see these are some of the things which are in the paper. While figuring out 118 prototypes, in the 50th prototype, we figured out few things are published, few things are patented. What is not there, what we can be doing in the further list of prototypes such that will stand apart. So this made us going.
Yeah, thank you.
Ma'am, what actuators and sensors were used in the model? And you said that you found it difficult to like find the funding. So did you approach like government agencies like Startup India and Smart India kind of?
So we don't use any actuators. We use sensor, but I don't think so. I can say the sensor's name and stuff. It's a normal water indicating sensor, which you can Google it. And finding a funding is very much difficult. See, I come from a very village background where we had only 2 to 3 computers in my village. I was the first graduate in my family. So finding a funding because of the lack of awareness, I did not know on the larger scale where should I get funding, where should I apply for the funding. So if anything I would have known earlier, I would have really geared up 2 to 3 years much forward in a phase. But we figured out. So the first funding for us was from BIRAC. I went for a fellowship called SIP, Social Innovation Immersion Program from BIRAC, where I got to see this problem as well. I got to know this program in the LinkedIn. So we figured out where we can go and utilize or where we can access LinkedIn, then got to see some schemes. Then from there, from like going to Odisha, I did my SIP fellowship from KIT TBI Odisha. So going and staying there in Odisha for 1 year initially, which actually molded me in a very good way. Now I can say what grant from where, how much, and how much stake should I dilute. So this will come along with an experience. The Startup India was not funding before when we joined. They were giving some kind of tax relaxation recognitions only before 3 years. So now they have started seed fund scheme and much more. Now we have been funded by almost all the government agencies. So initially it was very tough for us to crack.
Ma'am, you can also ask to the NGOs for the funding, I guess.
NGO, of course, again, I would like to highlight now we are in a stage where we would like to deploy our product Sahayatha to the end user, where Aid Kriya have come up really well. We have joined hands with Aid Kriya and they are subsidizing the product such that lot of patients can be benefited. As a company, we are now a profit making company. So now we are benefited by selling the product. But what is there for the end user? So there comes a place of NGO like Aid Kriya, which helps us, assist us to directly tap the patients who have been completely neglected or who have been not in a reach to purchase such kind of products.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Good
I think
evening,
there are
ma'am.
more questions on the chat. Yeah, I think people can ask the questions, those who have put on
Yeah,
the chat. Yeah.
I've just posted a question, so I'll read that out. So I'm a medical undergrad from Armed Forces Medical College, Pune. So I was just curious if you did a bacteriological assessment of the wheelchair seat, like after multiple uses, because we are always concerned about such bacteriological growths on the toilet seats. There are certain aspects to it. So I won't go into details, but though these are more common in public toilets, but as we know, bedridden patients are, they have multiple comorbidities. So the infected, there is something called as infective dose, as you might know. So that infected dose, the value of that decreases in patient with multiple comorbidity. So it is easy that patient can get easily infected with that. And as they are already on, as they are already bedridden, so they might be on antimicrobials, lot of antimicrobials. So that change a lot of gut and especially for women, I'm concerned that there is change in gut microbiota, there is change in vaginal microflora. So the chances of infection could be more. So I was just curious. That was the first thing that came to my mind after looking at that wheelchair. So like if there was any bacteriological assessment done or not.
So let me tell you, when we started our clinical study during the COVID phase, the first concern was this: Are we going to contaminate one person to another person by taking the virus inside our wheelchair? Then we did a swab test. We applied sanitizer sprays. It was perfectly working. Touch wood. Once the patient uses, we sterilize the complete wheelchair with a sanitization part. Then we do a swab test. We check how much bacterial growth it is there before sanitization, after sanitization, after the patient is being used, everything. And there is a set of procedures where when we are deploying in some of the hospitals, we provide them from one person to another person. If you're taking, it can be any kind of normal wheelchair as well, that needs to be sanitized. Otherwise, contaminated diseases can actually target than another user. So of course we have did a list of studies, and we also give the protocol to the purchasers as well.
So like once a patient use that wheelchair, so is it sanitized every time, or is it sanitized only when you are changing the wheel, you are giving that wheelchair to another patient?
Sanitization is required sometimes if like dangerous virus of COVID and such kinds are there. For the same patient also, we recommend them to sanitize. No such viruses or no deadly viruses if been there, then we recommend, if there's a change of patients, only then. Otherwise it will not matter. So in that case, we only recommend that only.
Like the thing is, most of these patients when they are bedridden in hospital, it is a different aspect completely compared to when they are bedridden at their home, because in a hospital you can have different strains of bacteria which are much more dangerous, which are much more resistant to the antimicrobials. So this was a bit of concern, like whether if the wheelchair needs to be sanitized every time a patient uses it.
None of the patients have been sanitized at all, to be very frank. They don't sanitize the wheelchair. The wheelchair आपको देखने को मिलेगा हॉस्पिटल के फ्रंट साइड में कुछ कचरा में ऐसी मतलब.
Yeah.
So when we talk about sanitization, they see us in a very different level. Okay, you're talking about sanitization for a wheelchair. Wheelchair does not falls under medical devices at all for them, but it's clearly written it falls under assistive technologies
Yeah.
and much more. So we lot of awareness to be created. When such kind of awareness comes up, then let's see what can be done. But as of now, we have given a simple manual to them when they are shifting the patients to a very contagious infectious viruses. These are the set of protocols which is to be done, and it is very mandate. So we tell them. So let's see how far it takes. A lot of awareness to be done as well. I agree.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Bhavan.
You mentioned about mentors quite a few times. So I wanted to ask, what role does mentors play in this journey of innovation and implementing the product?
Okay, so let me show you. So these were some of my mentors. Okay, so these mentors are no more, but they gave me few lessons. That's the reason I keep them along with me inside my room. So one mentor who was a person called P.R. Krishna Kumarji, when a small girl from a village with a no background of like registering a company, my mentor gave me a sum of 5,000 rupees and his own land for me to keep a company, which is luxury for me at that
Hmm.
point of time. there comes a help of mentor. Another mentor who was my dad, who agreed in co-partnering with me. There comes a help of mentor, bringing his expertise, bringing his time. I'm just raising my hand because I have paid nothing to him. I have paid a penny of money, zero penny of money to all of my mentors. Still, I have so many mentors on board uh, who are very happy seeing the success of Sahayatha, seeing the success. That actually makes me drive. Mentors are very strict on me. So there were some mentors who guided me with their school tutors, Hindi tutors, who trained me for pitching Shark Tank pitch in Hindi. So without mentors, I would like to say one thing. Mentors actually guided me in each and every achieving the milestone. They said, Shruti, you have to go in this path for achieving this. So the target is being set, the path is being described. Only thing is you have to walk in.
Hmm. Thank you. And it's really inspiring to see you keeping the photos there.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. This is
Hi,
Pratyusha.
Pratyusha.
Ma'am, I would like to ask you how you have developed this device for like application in the long run, and is there any scope of a reusability of the same device once a patient has used it, and maybe it would be a donation for the other patient if he is interested in going through it. Is there that access that way, if possible?
So it's completely reusable. After sanitization, after cleaning, one device can be used to a multiple patients in multiple environment. And how did you come up with, what was your first question?
Like if any damage or any processing needed for using it in the long run, like however, if you're using it for 5 years in a way, and
Okay.
we need any help further with that.
See, the product stands for particular usages, as in it is a physical product. It will break. Services needs to be done. So we are getting prepared now. We have delivered the product. Behind the mind or inside the team we talk, we have delivered huge number of product. Oh shit, now we have to follow the service. This is the reality. I would love to insist each and every customers, प्रोडक्ट में ये टूटेगा, ये फूटेगा, ये खराब हो जाएगा, हम है, we are there for the servicing part. Warranty we have given it for one year. After
Right.
1 year, in warranty of the cleansing system, we give only for the cleaning system. Rest of the wheelchair is maintained without any warranty, because in India there is no warranty for the wheelchairs.
Right, ma'am. Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, good
This
evening.
is Saminder Preet Singh, the internship manager.
Yes.
So we also have one video which I want that everybody can have a look, and it will be valuable experience for them. So
Okay.
I'm sharing my screen.
Sure.
So I hope it is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, sir.
Sir, it's on mute.
It's on mute. Okay.
Yeah.
Saminder, if you can download it, or
Yeah, sir. Just give me 1 second. I will try.
so meanwhile, I think there were many hands which went up from questions. So if any question that was written in the chat has been missed, maybe the question can be asked.
Yes.
Ma'am, I had this question. Like, just in the video, it was shown the lady was laying down and suddenly she was on the chair. Like, does she need someone else to be helped from bringing her from the bed to the chair, or is it the like the movement system of the chair that will be helping her to get help her to get up by her own and sit on the chair, or she will be requiring someone else?
So right now, the Sahayatha for the transferring requires one caretaker or assistants for them to assist to take themselves from the bed or the chair to the wheelchair.
So is it being provided from Sahayatha itself, or
No, 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 no. So the caretaker can be someone from your family. If they are like wealthy enough, they hire. If they are not wealthy enough, they seek help from their family members itself. So we provide only the device. The rest of the things are being taken care by the patient itself or the family itself.
thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Kushika. I just wanted to know that once the Sahayata was developed and the clinical trials and everything was done, and you are like, how did you went for the IP part? Like, did you patented it or something related to that?
Yeah. So as I was mentioning while the interaction, everything what we develop failed. ठीक है, तो इसके बाद हम लोग ने कुछ छोड़ा भी नहीं है कि ये हो सकता है. वी रीच असंभव स्टेट. ठीक है, एवरीथिंग जो कुछ भी करना है करके डाल दिया. अभी जो करना है तो वो जीतना ही है. उसके बाद हम लोग ने फाइल किया कि चलो हम लोग पेटेंट फाइल करेंगे. पेटेंट फाइल करने के लिए क्या क्या चाहिए. हमारा पास इतना सामान था, हम लोग को पता भी नहीं चला कि कौन सा इसमें पेटेंट फाइल करूं. 118 प्रोटोटाइप तो पड़ा है. So then we figured out, okay, let's take what is not there. We figured out cleaning system, very old Japanese technology, 200 to 300 years old. What is new in it? The new in it is incorporating that in the wheelchair, incorporating that in the cot. There comes our patent. So we filed an Indian patent. Then we thought we have developed so many designs. Why to waste the designs? Let's take one design patent. We were again confused, so many designs, which design to be patented. Then we did a prior art search. Prior art search patent में होता है कि कौन सा patent already filed है, published है, granted है. और किधर किधर granted है. Not only in India, the prior art search होता है. It takes the data from all over the world. So we got few things from US, we got few things from China, we got few things from other countries as well. We figured out ये वाला जो prototype हम लोग से fail हुआ ना, ये किधर पे भी नहीं है. Let's file it in this. That's how we figured out design patent. Then comes the name Sahayatha. Sahayatha, a helping hand, which we figured out. We thought let's take a trademark. Then we took a trademark of the product Sahayatha. We thought if such kind of devices is not there in India, will there be any kind of such products abroad or in any other countries? We figured out none of the devices or the wheelchairs are existing with the cleaning system, which actually surprised us and made us file next set of patents called PCT covering 140 countries. Now we are in the US patent is being granted, the India patent is being granted. In 140 countries, we are 140 countries तो फाइल कर दिया, लेकिन पैसा भी चाहिए ना कि एक कंट्री में फाइल करने के लिए लगभग close to 15 to 20 lakhs we need just for filing the patent, because attorney fees होता है, application fees होता है, बहुत सारा होता है. तो हम लोग ने सोचा लेट्स फिगर आउट टॉप 5 कंट्रीज कौन सा है जिसमें सहायता बहुत जन को टच कर सकता है. देन वी फिगर आउट ओके लेट्स फाइल इट इन यूएस यूके. सो जो कुछ भी हम लोग ने फाइल करके रखा है, इट्स अ डिजास्टर, लेट मी से.
All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have downloaded the video. So I will
Sure.
again I will try.
Please, sir. Sir, again it's on mute.
It's on mute.
But no problem, sir. There are subtitles. Sir, while sharing, you have to click the
Yes, so Minder, I think you share the link in the chat box and let students see it themselves. I think link is working everywhere, no? So.
yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, sure, sir.
Or else you can play, sir. There are subtitles where we can see and read it out also. No problem.
Yeah. So you have enthused them so much for the IPR. They are going to get assignment today for IPR.
So I am playing once. So if, I think I can view.
So I would like to interrupt here. This is the old grandma who wants to pass her urine during the nights, and no one wakes up during the night. And she was complaining in this video, and Sahayatha will help her because it's beside, and she can just get into the Sahayatha very easily. So the family member used to like refill the water like this and keep it inside and close it. That's it. And there's a charger also given. The wheelchair is manual and the cleaning system is battery operated. So they charge it, refill the water and keep it. During the night time, if she urges to pass her urine or to pass her motion, she herself gets in. So it was very what to say, she was very emotional because before the family members used to scold her, it seems. Before the family members, why to scold her is to she used to spill out everything because no one used to get up, or no one used to come and reach out to her when she is in that urge. So in that point when Sahayata was introduced to her, she was so thankful, and she like blessed the team members who went for the deployment as well. So that's the kind of motivation we get. Okay, we have impacted one life. We don't call it as target. We ask them, how many lives have we impacted this month? So that's how our meeting starts. So yeah, thank you sir for like screening the video.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am, for this explanation. I hope it will be a valuable experience for the students, and the question answers were also very interactive, and students were very interested, and they were quite curious to know all these things. It was a very interactive session. So now I will request Sumitesh and Sujitesh sir to please say a few words.
No, so thank you once again, Shruti. I think you have been an example of how to stand out of the crowd and take initiative and question and re-question again and again. You know, the very merit of why we do the studies and why we do why we educate ourselves in the first place. I think as Indians, I must say that we are born to give something back to the society. I think that is exemplified by you, and I think you must have motivated our cohort of students here by this example. You also illustrated that it is not an easy task. It is not a rain and dance song, which is often made out of in the films. Like you say, somebody chabi ghuma diya and something comes up and you become a millionaire. So
Right.
everybody sees only the tip of the iceberg, right? Nobody sees the toil and the number of times when you think of giving up,
Right.
just simply giving up
True.
and saying let's just go back to a fixed job and just do it. But I think that shows the resilience, Shruti. You've started off very young, which gives you and I think from our foundation side, I think may God bless you and your entire team, so that you go on to create such wonders. Innovation never stops. It will definitely curate and it will reach different places, and not only developing countries, like emerging countries and all. And I think the touching point was the dignity, as you said. Human life is all about dignity, whether small, big, everything. And I think touching that dignity point with something like this, because my mother suffered from IBS, IBD. I know how difficult it is for IBD, IBS patients to control, especially when they have the bouts of diarrhea. Every 15 minutes, they have to go to the
Right.
washroom, and the
Right.
washroom she used to avoid going to relatives' places, just
True.
because the relatives would say, why are you occupying the washroom for such a long time? She literally stopped going. She said, no, I wouldn't go. Now, with this kind of intervention, where you can have your own chair, and if you are feeling unwell, the days when you feel unwell, this is again a bit of a thing that you're not unwell all the time. There are days when you have constipation, and then there are days when you have like severe bouts of diarrhea and stomach ache and all the associated syndromes, right? So this, I think, is a wonderful innovation, and thank you for sharing and sparing your time. Sorry, we got a little delayed, but I'm also thankful to all the students who asked questions, who typed in and stayed up till I think now 7:30. Almost they're missing their tiffin and chai and whatever. But I'm sure it was worth your time here. Thank you. I don't know if Sujitesh is online. I just saw he logged out. Sujitesh, are you online, or I can hand it over to Dheerajji? And a
Yeah,
big thanks
thank
to
you.
Saminder as well, our Sutradhar, as they call it, trying to hold everybody together. So look
Mhm.
out for his messages and his WhatsApp things on the news channel. Thank you once again, Shruti, and to everyone here.
Thank
Over
you
to
so
you,
much.
Dheerajji.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Shruti, for such an amazing talk. I think we are soon going to send you a ticket to visit IIT Ropar to give a talk here. So also, Shruti, I think I want to request these kids are going to, means the students are going to start working on their projects. And midway around after 1 month, maybe we need your presence for reviewing their work for an hour or so. Uh, I wish you can join, and then we'll keep you posted about the days, the hour or the time, 15 days before when we plan it. So we request you to join us for that also, to encourage students and to give their ideas a little shape with your feedback.
Definitely, sir. I would love to, because I'm here in this stage because all the support by my mentors, and I really look forward to pass it on as well. So I would love to join it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Shruti.
Thank
So
you.
thanks a
Thank you
lot.
so
Yeah.
much for
Bye.
your time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. So we'll close the session for today. Saminder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
sure.
See you tomorrow, all of you tomorrow again. Okay. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Saminder sir. Sir, your mic is mute, I guess.
Yeah, yes, Satyam, please.
Sir, can you tell about the project work that we have to do that
Uh,
Dheeraj sir told about?
After this phase one, you are talking about.
No, actually, sir told about for the phase one that you have to sketch a model, some kind of thing that.
Yeah, for that you can, just put some time on Google and then see what you can
Actually, sir,
do
I want to ask that what is the proper question that what we have to do properly for that stuff.
properly. Like you can do some kind of designing, some kind of drawing you can do. It's not
Okay.
like you have to do on the computer only. You can do on paper only, but it should be clear. We just, as sir told, that we want to see your creativity,
So
how you are.
creativity in the which sense they want, sir, that we have to make a model for what kind of a thing that that it should be useful for RA or IBA?
Any RA or IBD, that is your choice. It is your
Okay, sir.
choice. You can see some models that are already there, and then you can see what are the features it is having, how it is useful, how you can. I mean, when I see your sheet, so I should come to know that you have made this thing, so that
Yes.
whenever the person is seeing your work, so he should see that what you are trying to explain. So that
Okay, sir.
it's very, I mean, it's not like very particular. It's very general idea. Whatever your mind, whatever you think, you can give that. It's not like that it should be this only. So very general way you can draw something, and then you can convey your ideas, what you think about the problem, and how
Sir,
it
we
is.
have to write a note also about that working of that model or something like this, or
Short,
we have,
short note you can write. Don't go into a much detail. Short note you
okay,
can write, 1 page you can write.
sir, so that we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
explain it
yeah, 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 yeah,
in a
yeah.
very
Because you should explain a little bit also, but don't write
okay.
too much. And secondly, the
Okay.
assignments I am sharing on daily basis, so it's
Yes,
very
sir. Yes,
good to see that everybody has submitted their assignment. So
yes, sir. Thank you.
hopefully, today also I will share one link now. After this, leaving the meeting, you can
Yes.
submit your assignment tomorrow.
And sir, we have to write our report on the latex only, or we can use any other platform
The
also.
Word, you can use MS Word.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, yeah,
That's thanks.
yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye.